There is so much written in the Gospels about Good Friday, about the events of yesterday, and the crucifixion of Jesus, and the trial, the horror of it, the blood, the pain, the agony, the sayings of Jesus on the cross, the way he breathed his last, the burial. And then Scripture seems to go silent for this Saturday. There's hardly any record of what the disciples were up to, of what the women who loved Jesus were up to, of what his family and friends were up to. I don't know about you, but I find celebrating the Easter weekend, I find kind of, what do I do with Saturday, like a little bit of an odd question. And it's made more odd, I think, by the fact that I know the answer. I know that there's a happy outcome tomorrow. I know that the tomb is going to be empty and Jesus is going to be raised again, and that's amazing. But what I want us to do just right now is to engage with the fact that for the disciples, they didn't know any of that. And today was a day where they had to sit with their questions, where they had to sit with their doubts, where they had to sit with not having all the answers about God or about Jesus or about salvation or about resurrection. None of that. They just had to sit in their not knowing and in their pain and in their frustration. I know that yesterday we did a lot of meditating and a lot of thinking on the places of pain and grief and doubt in our lives, and that's completely crucial. And really what we're going to try and do today is to sit with that again without trying to resolve it again. Now, I don't know about you, but when it comes to dealing with my emotions, I quickly want an out. Like, I want to maybe deal with my frustration quickly, and then I want it to be over. I want to deal with my doubt and my anxiety quickly, and then I want it to be over. Where I feel like humans are kind of tuned not to be people who just sit with our emotion, with our frustration, with our pain, and sit in silence and allow it. We want to fix it. We want to make it right. I was reminded again of the story at the beginning of the book of Job, when all the horrific stuff has happened to Job, and it says that his 3 friends come, and it's the best moment in the book in terms of how his 3 friends deal with this. It says, when Job's 3 friends heard of all his troubles that had come upon him, each of them set out from his home. Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite. They met together to go and console and comfort him. When they saw him from a distance, they didn't recognize him, and they raised their voices and wept aloud. They tore their robes and threw dust in the air upon their heads. They sat down with him on the ground for 7 days and 7 nights, and no one spoke a word to him, for they saw that his suffering was very great. Now, there's not tons that you want to be learning from these guys throughout the book of Job, but this is a crucial one, is in the pain of our human experience, in the doubt of our human experience, in the unknowing of our human experience and of our faith experience, just sitting with it in silence can be such a hugely powerful thing to do, and actually a really powerful act of faith in some way. To kind of be able to sit in the not knowing, the not understanding, to be able to sit in our grieving and in our place of pain, to be able to sit with others as they are dealing with their stuff, their pain, their grief, of where is God, of who is God, of what is going on anyway. And so I find it actually, strangely, really profound that this Saturday in the Bible is this kind of silent day. It's a day where the followers of Jesus then, but maybe also now, hold the silence of our not knowing and our grief and our doubt. I'm only going to say a tiny weeny bit more, because it would feel silly to talk for 15 minutes about being quiet and being in stuff together. And then I'm just going to stop the recording, and I just want to encourage you to go and afterwards spend, if you can, as long as it takes for you to feel uncomfortable with it, I think is probably the key thing, and just be in silence. Don't just do it until your mind starts to wander. Hold your attention in the silence, and see what comes up. Maybe some things that you're not comfortable with are going to come up, and you're going to feel tempted just to move your brain on, or to try and resolve them in your brain. Don't do it. Just allow the discomfort. Maybe where things that you feel about God that you're not comfortable with will come up. Don't try and push them away. Don't try and move it along. Just sit with it, acknowledge it, and be there. Be in that moment. Be in that place of question, and that place of pain. I found a poem that I really, really liked, that I think helps unpack this a little bit. It's by Jen Rose Yokel. I'm going to read this and then the recording will finish. She used to say she loved those TV movies about Jesus, but hated the crucifixion scene. Even though it was toned down in the grains of 1970s film, palatable to the eyes of those eating dinner in front of a flickering screen. This is us, now, knowing how it all ends, knowing in 3 days the lungs of God would reinflate. Knowing the ending, could I ever comprehend the blackness, ever imagine the darkest Saturday in history? A king's body, shrouded in spices and linen, lay withering behind stone. The budding bloom of salvation, crushed, careless, trod by his creation. Oh my God. Today the sun scatters clouds, the sun that once turned away at your final earthly breath, as the lion lay shorn and still. May I never forget the darkest day of history. Spring stopped, waiting, pressing her face at the tomb's door.